Good day everyone, I am Kantayan Elyap and I'm here today to delve into the grounded theory design. Objectives. At the end of this chapter, you should be able to define grounded theory and explain its purpose and development, describe the three types of grounded theory designs, highlight key characteristics of grounded theory research, identify potential ethical issues in grounded theory research, outline the steps involved in conducting a grounded theory study, present a criteria for evaluating the quality of a grounded theory study, and lastly, provide useful information for both producers and consumers of grounded theory research. What is grounded theory? When to use it and how it developed? Grounded theory design is a systematic methodology for generating, you guess it, a theory. This theory offers a broad conceptual explanation of a process related to a specific topic. Imagine you are researching a new phenomenon with little to no existing theory, or perhaps the current theories don't quite capture the nuances you are interested in. That's where grounded theory shines. It is particularly well suited for studying processes, actions, or interactions. Another benefit of grounded theory is that it provides a structured, step-by-step approach, making it valuable tool for researchers who are new to qualitative research methods. A key concept of grounded theory is that it allows a researcher to stay very close to the data throughout the analysis phase, ensuring the emerging theory remains grounded in the collected information. This research design has a rich history. It was actually developed by sociologists Barney Glaser and Anselm Strauss back in the late 1960s while they were working at the University of California, San Francisco. Three types of grounded theory designs. Grounded theory research can be conducted using three main approaches. The first, developed by Strauss and Corbin, 1998, is a systematic procedure. Researchers using this approach leverage predetermined categories to connect the various concepts that emerge from the data. They also use visual diagrams or specific propositions or hypotheses to make these connections even more explicit. The second type, championed by Glaser 1992, is an emergent design. Here, the focus is on exploring a fundamental social process without relying on predefined categories. This allows the research to be more inductive and open to discovery. The third type is the constructivist approach developed by Chalmers 2000. This approach emphasizes the subjective meanings participants assign to events, the researchers' own values and beliefs, and the generation of suggestive or tentative conclusions, acknowledging the constructed nature of knowledge. Key characteristics of grounded theory research. While these three types have their variations, there are six core characteristics that unify grounded theory research. First, focus on processes. Grounded theories are interested in understanding a process related to a specific topic. Their research delves into the how and why of a particular phenomenon. The second one is a theoretical sampling. This is a unique data collection technique used in grounded theory. Researchers don't sample participants based on predetermined criteria, but rather select participants whose data will most contribute to the developing theory. Data collection and analysis happen simultaneously in grounded theory, with each informing the other. The third is the constant comparative analysis. Grounded theories analyze their data for increasingly abstract concepts. They use a technique called constant comparative analysis, which involves constantly in comparing to new data to existing data and asking critical questions about the information they are gathering. This iterative process helps refine the emerging theory. Identifying Fourth, identifying a core category. Through data analysis, grounded theories aim to identify a core category, which is the central phenomenon that the theory will ultimately explain. This core category processes out of data according to Strauss in 1987. The fifth is a developing theory. Grounded theories. The fifth is the developing a theory. Fifth, developing a theory. Grounded theories explore this core category and the related processes to ultimately develop a new theory that explains the phenomenon under study. 6. Writing memos. Throughout the research process, grounded theories write memos to themselves. These memos document their thoughts, insights, and questions about the data. They serve as a valuable tool for staying grounded in the data and for keeping track of the evolving theory. Potential ethical issues in grounded theory research. Grounded theory research heavily focuses on data analysis, and because of that, there has not been a lot of discussion about ethics in the literature. However, ethical challenges can surface at various points throughout the research process. Here are the few areas to consider. Balancing the purpose of the study. Researchers need to ensure their research serves as a legitimate purpose and that the potential benefits outweigh any risk to participants. Power and authority in interviews. Grounded theory often relies on interviews. Researchers must be mindful of the power dynamic between themselves and the participants and ensure informed consent is obtained. Building a credible chain of evidence. The process of generating theory from data needs to be transparent and well documented. This allows readers to evaluate the credibility of the resulting theory. In a nutshell, grounded theory design offers a valuable methodology for researchers who want to explore processes, develop new theories, and stay close to the data throughout the research journey. By understanding the different types, core characteristics, and ethical considerations of grounded theory research, you will be well equipped to utilize this approach effectively in your own studies or critically evaluate existing grounded theory research. Thank you for your attention. Now I would like to introduce the next presenter, Miss Ellen Grace Tayao. Over to you.
Good day, everyone. So I am Ellen Grace Tayao and I am the assigned reporter in this topic. So today I am going to discuss to you the steps in conducting grounded theory research. So what are the steps that we are going to follow to conduct a grounded theory study? So before we proceed, let's first discuss the background. So we already know that in grounded theory, there are different types of procedures. So we have the systematic, the emergent, and then the constructivist. Okay, so the researchers here might engage in alternative procedures or steps to conduct a grounded theory study. So, let's begin to tackle the 8 steps in conducting grounded theory research. So, in step number 1, decide if a grounded theory design best addresses the research problem. So, you are going to decide a grounded theory design that you know it is best suited to address or to solve the research problem. It's because we already know that a grounded theory design is appropriate when you want to develop or modify a theory, explain a process, and develop a general abstraction of the interaction and action of people. As such, it offers a macro picture of educational situations rather than a detailed micro analysis. Because of the generation of an abstract process, it seems suitable for sensitive topics, like for example, the coping process of women who have been sexually abused, explained by Marrow and Smith, 1995. Or any research problem situation in which individuals need their privacy protected. Grounded theory also seems applicable for those individuals who are trained in quantitative research but who want to explore a qualitative procedure that is rigorous and systematic. For example, in educational fields in which qualitative research has made slow inroads, such as educational psychology, inquirers are turning to grounded theory as a useful procedures. So that's the step number one. You are going to decide a grounded theory designs that you think or you know that it is best suited to address or to solve the research problem. So the next is step number 2. Identify a process to study. So what do we mean by this? So because the intent of grounded theory research is to explain a process, you need to identify early a tentative process to examine in your grounded theory study. This process may change and emerge during your project, but you need to have an idea of the process at this step. So this process should naturally follow from the research problem and questions that you seek to answer. It needs to involve people who are acting or interacting with identifiable steps or sequence in their interactions. Also, it is helpful to write down this process early in your plan for a study. Like for example, what is the process of coping for first-year teachers? Or what is the process by which faculty develop into productive researchers? Okay, so it is helpful for us as a researchers that we write down the process early in our plan for a study, for us to have an idea or for us to have an advanced knowledge about our study. So the next thing that you do is to seek approval and access. So that's step number 3. You need to seek approval and access. So as with all research studies, you need to obtain approval from the institutional review board. You also need access to individuals who can provide insight into the process that you plan to study. Like other studies, this step involves seeking approval to collect data, appraising individuals of the purpose of your study, and guaranteeing protection of the site and participants as you conduct the inquiry. So if you plan to use the zigzag approach to data collection and analysis, it is difficult to plan and receive prior approval for collecting some data. So the zigzag approach, it is an approach relies on collecting data, analyzing it, and using this information to determine the next step in data collection. Thus, as you seek permission to conduct a grounded theory study, it is helpful to apprise reviewers of this process and the tentative nature of the data collection procedures at the beginning of the study. So, if you are confident enough that your step number 1 is sure that you decide a grounded theory design that best addresses the research problem, and your step 2 is sure that you identify a process to study and you seek approval and access, so it means that you proceed to the next step. Step number 4. So, you are going to conduct theoretical sampling. So what do we mean? What do we mean by theoretical sampling? So it is defined by Glaser and Strauss, 1967. It is a way of collecting data and deciding what data to collect based on the theory and categories that emerge from your data. So that's a theoretical sampling. You are going to collect and decide what data to collect that based on the theory and categories that emerge or that starts from your data. So the key concept in grounded theory data collection is to gather information that can assist in your development of a theory. Like for example, individuals who have experienced the process you are studying. So grounded theorists use many forms of data, but many researchers rely on interviews to best capture the experiences of individuals in their own words. A characteristics of grounded theory research, however, is that the inquirer collects data more than once and keeps returning to data sources for more information throughout a study until the categories are saturated and the theory is fully developed. There is no precise timeline for this process, and researchers need to make the decision as to when they have fully developed their categories and the theory. So if you successfully conducting a theoretical sampling and you already collecting the data, then proceed to step number 5, code the data. So if you are wondering where the data came from, it came from the theoretical sampling. So, di ba, the theoretical sampling is collecting data and deciding what data to collect. So, that's step number 5, code the data. Okay, so in the process of coding the data, you are going to use two codings. So that's open coding and Excel coding. So what do we mean by open coding? So in open coding, at this point, you will have started collecting qualitative data such as transcriptions from interviews. With the use of open coding, you break your data into discrete parts and create a codes to label them. So what's the purpose of breaking up your data? So the purpose of breaking up your data and labeling them with codes is to enable you as the researcher to continuously compare and contrast similar events in your data. Okay, so that's open coding. So how about the Excel coding? So Excel coding is the second step of coding that follows open coding. In contrast to open coding, when you break data into discrete parts, with Excel coding, you begin to draw connections between codes. Okay, so in open coding, you are going to break data into discrete parts. While in Excel coding, you are going to begin to draw connections between codes. So with Excel coding, you organize the codes you develop in open coding. You read over your codes and the underlying data to find how your codes can be grouped into categories. So after finishing to code the data, proceed to step number 6. Use selective coding and develop the theory. So this is the continuation in step number 5. So diba in step number 5, you use two coding, which is the open and Excel coding. So in step number 6, you are going to use the selective coding, which is the 3 or the last step in grounded theory. So what do we mean by selective coding? So selective coding, it is the last step in grounded theory where you connect all your categories together around one core category. In doing so, you defined one unified theory around your research. Okay, so what's the purpose of selective coding? So the purpose of this selective coding is to either define a new theory or modify an existing theory. So that's the purpose, to define a new and to modify an existing theory. So in explanation, in step number 6, use selective coding and develop the theory. So, as I said, this is the final process of coding and it involves actual developing your theory. This procedure includes interrelating the categories in the coding paradigm. It may involve refining the Excel coding paradigm and presenting it as a model or theory of the process. It may include writing propositions that provide testable ideas for further research. You can present your theory as a series of propositions or sub-propositions. So this stage may also involve writing a story or a narrative that describes the interrelationships among categories. Okay? So that's step number 6. Use selective coding and develop the theory. So after you use the selective coding and develop the theory, proceed to step number 7. You validate your theory. Validate your theory. So that's step number 7. So it is important to determine if your theoretical explanation makes sense to participants and is an accurate rendering of events and their sequence in the process. In grounded theory research, validation is an active part of the process of research, according to Criswell 2007. For example, during the constant comparative procedure of open coding, the researcher triangulates data between the information and the emerging categories. The same process of checking the data against categories occurs in the actual coding phase. The researcher poses questions that relate the categories and then returns to the data and looks for evidence, incidents, and events. So this process in grounded theory is called discriminant sampling. So what do we mean by discriminant sampling? So discriminant sampling consists of the deliberate and directed selection of individuals, objects, or documents to verify the core category and the theory as a whole, as well as to compensate for other or less developed categories. Okay, so after developing a theory, the grounded theorist validate the process by comparing it with existing processes found in the literature. And also, outside reviewers such as the participants in the project who judge the grounded theory using canons of good science may substantiate the theory, including the validity and credibility of the data. So the grounded theorist and the outside reviewers such as the participants are the one who validate our theory. Okay? So that's step number 7. So the last step that we are going to do or to follow is the step number 8. Write a grounded theory research report. Okay? You are going to make a research report based on the grounded theory. So the structure of your grounded theory report will vary from a flexible structure in the emerging and constructivist design to a more quantitatively oriented structure in the systematic design. Compared with other qualitative designs such as ethnography and narrative research, the structures of grounded theory studies are scientific and include a problem, methods, discussions, and results. In addition, the point of view of the writer in the systematic approach is sometimes third person and objective in tone. All grounded theory projects, however, end with the theory generated by the researcher reporting his or her abstraction of the process under examination. Okay, so that's the step number 8, write a grounded theory research report. So that's the overall steps that we should follow to have a grounded theory study. So the next topic that we are going to discuss is evaluating the quality of a grounded theory study. Okay, so how do you evaluate grounded theory research? So Charmas 2006 uses terms such as credibility, originality, resonance, and usefulness. And also Corbin and Strauss 2008 discuss factors such as how individuals can benefit from the research, example, the fit, sensitivity, and applicability. So the importance of concepts or the categories and their discussion within a context, the logic, depth, and variation. and a creative, innovative manner in which the researcher says something new. In a high-quality grounded theory study, some combination of these factors exist and the author makes explicit the process or action at the heart of the study. Because you are willing to conduct that study, you make an explicit process or actions that support your problem research. Okay? Next is develops or generates a theory at the end of the study that is grounded in the view of the participants. Makes certain that a link exists between the data, the generation of categories, and the ultimate theory. Provides evidence of using memoing and sampling that enables the generation of the theory, and presents a visual model of the theory. And the last is that provides evidence of the use of one of the types of grounded theory designs, such as the systematic, emerging, or constructive approaches. So that's how the grounded theory evaluate. Okay. So the next is there are useful information for producers of research. Okay, so when planning a grounded theory study, use the step for conducting a study advanced in this chapter. So if you are going to conduct or going to plan a grounded theory, you use the steps for conducting a study advanced in this chapter. So second is consider whether your grounded theory study will be systematic, emergent, or constructivist. Make this decision based on reviewing the arguments for each design type and determining whether you prefer a more flexible or prescribed approach to grounded theory research. Third is the visual presented in this chapter can be adapted and used to display several processes and to create tables and diagrams, such as the zigzag data collection process and the constant comparative approach. So the fourth one is creating a visual diagram of your theory helps to clearly identify the categories and see their interrelationships. And the last one is validate your theory by using constant comparative procedures, triangulating during the research, and by employing member checking with participants in your study. So that's the useful information for producers of research. Okay, so as a research, you are going to follow that information to have a successful result. So also there are useful information for consumers of research. Okay, so the first useful information for consumer of research is educators can use the criteria for evaluating a study to assess the quality of a published study. The second is when examining a study to determine if it is a grounded theory project, you might look at the title to examine if the words grounded theory are included. Also, most grounded theory projects clearly include an exploration of a process, and the author should identify this process in the purpose statement or research questions. And the third one is a sign of grounded theory research is that the author employs multiple passes to the field to collect data. A well-refined theory and categories consist of the saturation and zigzagging back and forth between data collection and analysis to build the categories and theory. And the last one is look for visual model of the theory. This model is the centerpiece of the grounded theory study and represents the author's attempt to visualize the process under study. Okay, so that's the useful information under the consumers of research. So that's all my report, and thank you.